Obviously, you guys were able to hit a lot of shots tonight with the 23 threes, but defensively, I'm sure there were a lot of concerns in that area, particularly interior. What was, I guess, maybe the biggest breakdowns in that area?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I mean, a lot of it is just Paul George. He was so good, we had to double team him everywhere. He would have had 60. And when you do, with the amount of skill they have on the floor, it's what's going to happen, so you can take things away. Double teaming that team is a lot different than tomorrow night's going to be the same thing. You're talking about a different level of roster talent. So, you're not double teaming a guy that he's throwing it to a lot lesser players. He's throwing the ball to, Kawhi and James, and, it's a great, great team. So it's, it's kind of pick your poison. But just playing in our base you could tell right away, he was so ready. When guys like that make their first 3 or 4, look out,
A lot of it was just simple, just shot making.
Well, his shot making was, listen now, and Kawhi had some too, but Paul George, look, I've been around, that was a great performance right there of shot making, yeah.
Kind of going off of that, you said pick your poison. Norman Powell was always on that swing pass there. As a coach, what are you looking for, and when do you make that decision, like, hey, we have to start blitzing this guy? Because if not, like you said, you might go.
Well, I mean, the only thing I'd say is the blitz is what got us back in the game. I mean, it actually, until the very end, it's a little bit misleading, 37, because, we started fouling with like a minute 45 left, too. So he got some late, but, we got back in the game by going to the double team against both James and Paul George. So, look, you've got your basic choice is what can we live with, what can we take away. I'd rather take the ball out of Paul George's hands, James Harden's hands. Harden was crushing us early, too, in the high pick and roll. So, we did change what they had to do. And, again, Norman Powell's a really good offensive player, and it's what's going to happen.
I asked Brandon this question, too, but how different is it when you're facing stars that I guess there's no wasted dribbles with Kawhi and Paul George? Does that make it harder to blitz them too, knowing that they're not kind of dribbling the air out of the ball sometimes?
Yeah, I would say it's more so they've been blitzed so much, right? And also, their size. And they're both, Paul George is a great passer and Kawhi's very good. So, in terms of that, they ISO more than any team in the league. So I think in terms of just guarding them one-on-one, they do dribble it a lot more than most teams.
You mentioned in the pregame maybe yesterday or last couple of games about how some of the best teams don't pass the ball a crazy amount when they have guys like that.
These guys don't. Exactly. I think they're fourth in offense. The best teams are direct. When people talk about ball movement, like good ball movement to me is who has the ball and who's he throwing it to? Does it put pressure on your defense? If you're playing against them and Paul George is passing the ball to a guy that's half as good as him, that's the ball movement you want. In our league, a lot of times the best teams offensively don't move the ball to the second side very much because they come down, particularly in the fourth quarter, and they get the ball to a star, and you play pick and roll. Watch the last 5 minutes of playoff games. It's going to be mostly high pick and rolls or angle pick and rolls and ISOs. And they have those type of players. That's how you win.
Coach, you speak strongly about the need for young players to play in games that matter with minutes that matter. How are you finding value in these final games?
Listen, I've been so pleased with our guys. We had been so good, and then we weren't good at all in Atlanta, which was disappointing. We weren't good in the first half in Orlando, but that was at the end also of a really tough stretch where we went, I think, 6 games in 9 days. We went to Atlanta, didn't play well, and ever since then, in Cleveland, we played well. The game here with Cleveland, we played hard. These 2 games, you're playing against talented teams with all-star caliber players. The game for Golden State was a huge game, and the game for these guys, these are huge games. And so, to me, this is how you get better. It's also good evaluation tools, not just so you say this guy can't be a starter or this guy's not this. It gives us great stuff to show them tomorrow on what they have to improve over these next, whatever we have, 8 games. And for the most part, this is the level of competition we have left on the schedule.
Thanks, everyone.
Good?
Thank you.